hadn't figured out how to get the sticky buggy into Inky Goers too.
You know,
Roller beetles.
in Guild Wars 1, that's how that happened. We were, I came in, you know, one Monday and was, we can do it. I think we can do like a Katamari level. How we can do all this stuff. And we had to sort of scale back how ambitious what we were trying to do was, and roller beetle racing came out of that.
Massively multiplayer is a great place. City of Heroes. I've been a WoW fan. My big problem with WoW is I've got my characters on 17 servers because I tend to be a social gamer in that I'm playing with literally people I know, and they say, oh, we're all going over to this server and we're going to set up. So I create a first level character and I go along for a while and they all get ahead of me, and then okay, we never talk again. And then another group of friends say, oh, we're going to be over here playing. I get over there and we repeat the process. So I've got like 20 characters scattered all over the place. In non-MMOs, I'm a big fan of Lego Star Wars, because that is a game my wife who's not a computer gamer will play. I will come home and she is basically trying to find the last mini can on the level and reach it. And you know, and we have to play for a while, so we have to figure out what we can do.
Next question.
This might be a better question for Isaiah or Izzy, but you guys had a great skill system going for the longest time, and then recently you guys decided to change it, split it off into this different set of PVE and PVP skills that sometimes are wildly different, sometimes just minor differences. What inspired what brought about the decision to split them apart like that?
Okay, well, that's actually my decision, so
Oh,
sorry. Basically, anything you dislike in the game is yeah, sometimes they call me the destroyer of fun. Really, you know, we had to accept that the pacing in PvP combat and PvE combat was so fundamentally different that in order to make balanced decisions that worked for one format, we were making players in the other format suffer. And there just came a point where I said, you know, you're never going to nerf a PvE skill again for PvP reasons, and we're going to find a way to do that. We talked through a lot of different possible solutions, and that was the most expedient one. You know, we looked at ideally how we could have handled things, or you know, having the split, and especially in the cases, and there, you know, be fair, there aren't very many cases where the functionality is radically different. But, you know, we don't really want to have the game have it, but it's an existing game. There are a lot of people out there playing. What we'd like to do is make decisions that don't decrease people's fun, but instead increase people's fun. That's certainly what we've been trying to do lately. And I know there are critiques here and there about, you know, in principle, what we've done. But I guess the question is, are the skills better today on balance than they were 2 months ago or 3 months ago? I think the answer is pretty obvious.
Thanks.
This question's targeted at Ms. Hargrove in particular. I was wondering, when designing creatures, where do you draw your influences from, and how many iterations do they go through before they get to their final design?
So I've only concepted a limited number of creatures for Guild Wars specifically, but like character and creature design is like mostly comes from real animals, like studying animal anatomy and just watching the Discovery Channel a little too much, and then just being inspired by the artists around me. Like growing up, Disney was enormous, and I think it shows in my work all the time. And then things like, you know, Jim Henson's work, The Dark Crystal, things like that. And actually, like, what I've been trying to do recently is actually get better at my humans. And there's a Guild Wars fan whose online name is Makani, and she's like a huge inspiration to me. And it's kind of weird because I'm like, oh, I love your art. And she's like, I love your art. It's kind of funny. But it's mostly animal anatomy and then just, you know, finding other people's styles and trying to learn from what they do right and what they do not as well, and then trying to constantly improve. And it's an ongoing battle. And you're never ever happy, but you just hope other people enjoy it.
I like the CGI pre-rendered cinematics that was for Guild Wars Prophecy and Guild Wars Factions. But I noticed that Guild Wars Nightfall and Guild Wars the North both don't have pre-rendered CGI cinematics. I was wondering why that is, and if you guys would have go back and maybe make it for them, or make it for Guild Wars 2.
Well, I mean, those sorts of things are basically business and marketing decisions, even though Chris is letting me answer this. They cost a lot of money to make, and there's a lot of advanced planning, especially you look at how insanely tight our schedules were to release a lot of the Guild Wars campaigns. It wasn't always practical for us to do that.
Yeah, in the case of Nightfall, I believe that the consideration was more scheduling than monetary. And for Gwen, it's just a question of, just so you know, these kind of pre-rendered CGI videos, we don't have an in-house shop that does it. We have to outsource it to, either in Korea or somebody in North America. And they can run anywhere between, close to $500,000. I mean, yeah, $500,000. And you go, wow, would I rather spend that on an ad campaign or more development resources? You have to make those hard choices, especially on expansion. As to whether we would consider them for Guild Wars 2, I would say we would definitely consider them.
All right, first specifically PvP related question of the day, which would probably be better for Izzy, but I'll ask you. Pretty simple. The guy asked earlier whether or not or why you broke the skills apart, and for a PvE player, it doesn't make sense. As a PvP player, it makes perfect sense. The issue is, well, my question basically is, when Prophecies first came out, the skills were relatively balanced. The word Guild Wars didn't particularly exist. You started bringing in teleports, you started bringing in dervishes, you could bring in champions constantly, skills like that, and Guild Wars became more substantial. Indirectly related to Guild Wars 2, do you plan on doing anything to adjust the Guild Wars factor from this point forward for Guild Wars 1 or Guild Wars 2? And do you think it's an issue or a strength of the game?
Okay. Quick answer to start, it's definitely an issue. And I think if you look carefully at the trend in skill balance choices over the course of, say, the last year, you'll see generally an attempt to de-emphasize specific counters, to take skills that are specialized and generalize them, and to move the game as much as possible away from a Build Wars sort of effect. I do think it's, I know that there are a lot of critiques of some of the later professions and a lot of things that were introduced into the game over time by a segment of the PvP player base, but it's not, I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, what I was going to say earlier is that I don't know that it's fair to say that the Build Wars concept didn't, that term didn't exist. Even when we were in beta, people were throwing that around, right? It's always been a delicate balance with the game. I'm not going to claim that the play balance is perfect, although I think we've done a pretty decent job. The level of complexity in play balance in Guild Wars is really extreme compared to other games. A lot of people on the team, myself included, worked on a lot of competitive games and had to deal with complex play balance before. Guild Wars blows other games away in terms of the complexity of the problems that we deal with. And so, we're doing the best that we can, make adjustments when it seems like adjustments need to be made.